This is the Within the Movies review of the 2018 Tomb Raider reboot, starring Alicia Vikander and directed by Raw Utag. My name is Aki, and today we're gonna break the movie down for you. What really stood out, the good, the bad, and whether you should go and see it. Let's jump straight right in. So there are several things that really stood out to me when I went and saw the movie. Firstly was the great performance of Alicia Vikander as Lara Croft. A lot of props have to be given to her as she truly demonstrated her commitment to her character when she had to do a lot of running, kickboxing, wall climbing, a lot of physical. Her performance was really demanded her to be physically fit, and it really showed in the movie, and it really does justice to Lara Croft as a character. So a lot of props have to be given to her. Secondly was the good character development. The motifs, the backstory of the characters was really well written and developed, so you were not treated to a cheese fest. Yeah, so story-wise is basically this doesn't just drew from the previous movies, from the previous Angelina Jolie franchise, but it also drew from the source material. It drew a lot of source from the video games. It's basically the story, the origin story, if you will, of Lara Croft. From her beginning, she's an explorer, and when we meet the character, she's dealing with the loss of her father, who disappeared 7 years ago, and she found herself a note from her father, and we are taken on an adventure with her to find her father on a lost island. And she was pushed to her limit in dealing not just the rough waters, the rough nature of the island, but also the treacherous Trinity. These are the bad guys in the movie, and in search for the tomb of Himiko. One of the good points that I got off when watching of the movie was, firstly, as mentioned, was it felt like an origins movie. It really did. Coming off as someone who doesn't follow the franchise, when I watched the movie, I got the vibe of Batman Begins. We saw her character well developed from a timid, really reckless character in the beginning, and by the end of it, she's really found her calling. So that's what I got when that's one of the good points that I got from watching the movie. It wasn't as cheesy or really a one-dimensional story. You get a sense of the character. You really understood her motive. The second point that I got when I'm watching, one of the good points that I got when I watched the movie was the action scene. Raw Utag really allocated several scenes for the action scene, and it wasn't predetermined. You can feel that it's an action scene, and it was well cut, well paced, and you get the sense of adrenaline. You get a sense of suspense when you watch the movie. So props to the director for a good action scene. And the thirdly, one of the good points that I got was, it's a good movie. Basically, it has its roots in as a video game. It has its roots as a video game movie adaptation, but when you go and watch the movie, you are treated to a really well written movie, not a haphazard, not good movie. So my eyes were wide open to the fact where when you watch the movie, you get a sense that the story was well written. The third point when I watched the movie was a good movie adaptation, video game movie adaptations. And lastly, it felt like a really good movie, not just a typical video game movie adaptation. I felt that as a fresh, casual moviegoer who doesn't follow the lore, I followed the movie decisively and I enjoyed it really good. So I think that speaks volume to the video game movie adaptation industry, and it follows really close to the video game. So I think we have gone across the point of mediocrity in terms of a video game movie adaptation, and I think Tomb Raider has led the pack. The bad points of when I watched the movie was the biggest bad points was the antagonist, Walter Goggins as Matthias Vogel. When you watch the movie, you get the sense that he tried to give a really layered performance in terms of his delivery, in terms of his motif. It was well written in a sense that when it was well written when you get a sense of what he's trying to do, but at the end he fell right back into a typical cliche villain. So it's quite unfortunate, really forgettable. The next bad point was the lighting. God, you'll know this when you see it, but there's a section of the movie where the lighting was horrendous. You couldn't even see what's going on. I get what they're trying to do, but there are several key sections of the movie where the lighting was all over the place. So it didn't contribute to the narrative, I would say. So that was bad. The next one was the dialogue. It wasn't the strength of the movie. In terms of the writers gave really forgettable lines for the actors to use, and it showed in the movie. So, and lastly was the cliche plot line. So I think it was unfortunate in that sense as a origins movie, but it had to be said. As a conclusion, I think overall 2018's Tomb Raider gave a really good showcase of how a video game adaptation should be like. I enjoyed it as it is, as someone who doesn't play the games, and you would be treated well if you do play those games. If you do play the games, where there's a lot of Easter eggs for that. The characters was well developed as an origins movie, and I look forward to where the franchise goes next. Follow us on iTunes, Podbean, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter for the latest movie breakdowns and reviews. This has been Aki. Thank you for listening to the review, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.